Dennis, I want to talk about the origins of this film, not a novel, but a short story called Animal Rescue.
It actually started as a novel. It was the first chapter of a novel called Missing Dolores that never came together. Had about 6 other subplots in it, and they all just collapsed. Usually when I write a book, I go about 100 pages figuring out who the characters are. I never ever think about the plot, and then at some point I just say, well, I should probably have a story here, and I say to the characters, go find me one. And normally they're really cool. They go out, a couple days later they come back and they hand me a story. And this time everybody came back like, I got nothing. So I shelved the book. I ended up then going to write Shutter Island after that. And for about 5 years, the image that I started the book with stuck in my head. This guy finding a dog in a trash can 2 days after Christmas. It was always the thing that drove everything. So I said, I'm going to write it as a short story. So I did, published it, and then Jenno and Michaël R and the wonderful people at Churn Entertainment reached out to me.
I don't know if you'd refused or never been asked to adapt your novels before?
I've been asked to adapt my novels.
And refused?
Yeah, because I had tried it once, and I was so bad at it. I was just disastrous that I said, I'm not the guy for this job. You have to have perspective. And a novelist is not going to have perspective on, particularly if it was recent. Like if you just spent 2.5 years, the first refusal was Mystic River, and I just spent 2.5 years getting 401 pages. I always remember that. 401, not 399, not 402, 401. And so I was talking to Clint Eastwood, and he said, would you adapt it? And the first words out of my mouth were just no. It was like instantaneous. And I realized it was because I didn't know what 80% to throw out. Right. You know?
Whereas with a short story, you're adding 80%.
Well, I don't know if it's as high as 80%, but you're expanding.
Not cutting.
And they told me immediately, it was Michaël R. I mean, Mike came in and he said, look, I think you should look at the Chechens, look at the guys who own that bar, look at the drop, think about some sort of tension that can come from that, and run that, because you already got Deeds, you already got the dog, you already got Nadia, you got Bob. That's all set. Mm-hmm. So that was it. That was just, then we started running down that road.
I think in this story, what was important for me was that all these people are desperately looking for innocence, and it is something that I'm very fascinated by that concept.
Really, Michaël? Why?
Yes, it always comes back. And it's the crime and punishment thing, and that's the basic. And then it was just a great story. I just loved that character Bob right away, and I also loved the writing. Like I said, in the beginning, the first page you're reading dialogues, and the second you're hearing them, and that's what you need to believe in a good film.
When the film is cast, does that change the way you're writing in terms of what you hear the actors saying and what kind of performance Tom can give just with a look and how beautiful James is with dialogue?
Yeah, I think that because I came from, I was trained, I learned how to write scripts on The Wire. It was David Simon and Ed Burns who really took me under their wing and schooled me. So I was already used to writing, knowing the actors who would be playing the part. So I would get really comfortable when I was, say, doing something with Wood Harris, who played Bunk on The Wire. I knew the music he was going to play. So I'm used to writing for that. So the moment they cast Tom, I went, okay, Tom does everything. Tom does so much. One of my favorite performances last 10 years is Tom Hardy in Warrior. Gavin O'Connor's Warrior. Mm-hmm. And I said, this guy does so much with so little in terms of, that's his power. So I went back and I cut. I always wanted to cut Bob. Bob was really talky in the early drafts, but it's because he was talking to the director. He was talking to the producers. He was telling them the story.
He was being expositional.
Exactly. Well, the moment I have my actor, then Dennis, cut. When they finally cast Gandolfini, I think he was cast 4th or 5th in the major roles. When they cast him, then it was, ha, 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 ha. I get to add stuff because my dialogue seems as if it's very natural, but it's actually a little bit tweaked. So it's hard to say. It's hard for actors to get their heads around. They got to work hard for a while. Gandolfini didn't have to work hard. That's the music he grew up hearing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm writing, I just overloaded those scenes, and they had to end up cutting half of them. But I didn't care. I was just like, I just want to know he tried. He said my words.
I do not rehearse. When I see the character for the first time, it's with the first action on set. I see parts of them. I spend a lot of time. I like to spend a lot of time at costume with them, sit next to them while they're trying outfits, and then talk about what I call character building. It is about everything but what's in the script at that point. It's about where does this guy come from? What's his parents like? What was his first toy that he remembered having? And things like that, like a whole. And I did the same with Jim. We went all the way back, and I shared with him the relationship he had with Bob, how that came together, how we know him, how we became, his cousin that took him into the life, and that's all what I do. Because then I believe the actor needs, at some point, the freedom to be creative, of course, but also knowing that he's free, and but at the same time that I'm there to catch him.
Jenno, he obviously is present only on film, about your work with James Gandolfini and what it meant to this film and what it meant to be with him on set in his very last film.
Yeah, we had done a film a long time ago together, and I was so excited to work with him again. And he was an amazing man, as everybody knows. But one of the things that I loved so much about him was how his incredible drive to be great, and yet his enormous humility at the same time. And in fact, I had to leave after the first week and come back here for a little bit. And I called him on the phone and I said, Jim, I just want to say dailies are amazing. All your anxiety is, for no reason. And he said, no, I actually think that, I wouldn't feel badly if you asked me to give the money back. I would. And I would do it over. And just this huge thing came out. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm telling you, you're great in the movie. But,
yeah, we all have kind of similar stories of, where for me it felt when Jim came to set was a big lesson also, is that it feels like it was his first part. He would approach it, he would never rely on his experience. He would use it maybe, but nothing was, just obvious. And that was amazing to see, and that was a big thing also for Tom. Tom discovering that the great James Gandolfini is this man, and then he's such a good actor. That was very inspiring and gave everybody, a good feeling. Yeah, but because the last scene of the film was actually the first they played together.
That was
the last scene between the two of them. That great scene in the basement is their first scene.
That's their first day.
That's their first day together.
Oh my goodness.
And that was, of course, in one way very scary, but then I saw it happening and I'm like, this is awesome. I was like, I knew it. This is going to be great. These two is going to be great. So you had a little bit of the anxiety to do that, but at the same time, when we saw that it was so a good thing, it gave us so much confidence and trust in what's going to happen, and all those scenes that were on the way coming, that was just looking forward to them. So that was amazing.